Today we've got a great video. It's going to be fun. We are going to go over a lot of the prohibited items on cruise ships. And then we're going to go through some of the most unusual items that people have tried to sneak on board.
Yeah. Let's start off today with the power strip from Royal Caribbean that said these are triple, and then they have USB on the other side. They banned these this week, but the question is, Kat, you were telling me that people are taking pictures of their items and sending them into Royal to get clarity.
Not that they're taking pictures, they've sent questions to Royal to clarify what they mean. So originally on the prohibited list was multi-plug outlets with a surge protector. You cannot bring a surge protector on board a cruise ship. It's a fire hazard. It has to do with their electrical system. And then also electric extension cords. So people have written to Royal Caribbean to see, do they mean this type of multi-plug outlet because this is not a surge protector? Or are these still allowed? Royal Caribbean has not responded. As of now, it says all multi-plug outlets, electrical extension cords, and any surge protectors. So as of now, just be aware that you cannot bring in these multi-plug outlets. So our solution to this would be a multi-USB port that you can hook in to one of the USB ports in the room. And then that'll give you multiple outlets to charge your devices. Another alternative is get yourself an adapter because there's different plugs within the room. There's American plugs and there's European plugs. So if you get yourself an adapter, depending on where you're coming from, for the other countries, then that'll give you added electrical outlets.
And I really like the idea of the USB splitter. I haven't heard anybody talk about that yet, but they're all different kinds. I mean, this one's a little one, doesn't even have power to it. This one here, you plug in and it has power on it. It's only 5 volts or whatever. It's not very powerful, but it will charge 4 pieces, and you can turn them off as you need, as you need them. But when we're traveling, we have 2 cameras, we have microphones, we have all these things, we have a laptop, so we have a lot of things to charge, and it could get a little bit tough, but I don't think we're going to have a problem.
I don't know. We'll find out on our next cruise.
So, Kat, what are some of the unusual things that are on the list? And we've got MSC, Royal, Virgin, Norwegian,
And Carnival.
and Carnival.
So most of the lists are similar. I think the two most comprehensive lists are Royal Caribbean and Virgin Voyages. And it appears that Virgin Voyages, their prohibited item list is almost identical to Royal Caribbean's. The first, of course, is illegal drugs and substances. This also includes any type of marijuana, including medical marijuana, gummies, cookies, things like that. Any kind of item that contains CBD or THC is prohibited. It may be legal within the state that you live in, but it is still federally banned. It is federally illegal. So no cruise ship will sail and allow anyone to bring any kind of illegal drugs or any kind of marijuana on board, including medical marijuana. So just make sure you're aware of that. If you do take it for a medical reason, you may want to see your doctor and find out what you can take as an alternative that would not be something that's prohibited.
And every cruise we've been on, the last 3 cruises, there has been dogs inside the terminal
Yes.
when we were leaving, and they don't really, you will have to walk by them to get onto the ship. It's just the way it is. And they just sit there and they're just waiting to hit on something.
Mhm.
But I mean, some people have been banned from a few cruise lines because they didn't realize they couldn't bring it on. And this is all the cruise ships are. It doesn't matter whether you didn't know or not. It's banned.
Right. It's every cruise line. So the next area is your firearms and weapons. So of course, firearms and weapons are prohibited. And they go through some specifics: rifles, shotguns, revolvers, all of the components for a gun, and any incendiary devices. Any kind of replica. So if you're trying to bring on a toy gun, that's banned. BB guns, flare guns, pellet guns, spear guns. So just leave your guns at home.
And also ammunition, because there were a few cruisers that got into big trouble in Ireland. They spent months in a couple months in jail waiting to get heard from.
That's true. They were caught. I believe it was Turks and Caicos. There were two gentlemen. They had ammunition in their backpack from a previous trip. They had gone on a hunting trip. There was some bullets that were left, and they fell down to the bottom of the backpack. Both of the men didn't realize that they were there, so they inadvertently packed them. Somehow they got through security getting on the cruise ship, and then when they were on the island, they got off the cruise ship. When they came back, there was security screening on Turks and Caicos to get back into the secure area to get onto the ship. And that's when they saw the bullets there. The gentlemen were arrested and they were jailed. And then later, the charges, I believe, I don't know if they were dropped or if they pled, but they were let go and they're back in the United States now. So just be very careful. If you have bags that are interchangeable, if you are a hunter or anything like that, or if you're law enforcement and you maybe carry your gun in a backpack with the ammunition separate, make sure you check that before you pack for the cruise, because that's the least of your problems. You don't want to be in a foreign country where their laws and restrictions are different than what they are in the United States.
And this is pretty interesting. They don't want you to have blasting caps, dynamite, fireworks. I get it. Hand grenades. Now, why would they list a hand grenade on their? It must be a replica of a hand grenade they're talking, but being plastic explosives, and it's
and to us, I mean, this is a list that in our mind, it's a logical list that you wouldn't bring these things on a cruise ship for vacation. But we know that there are people out there that may have different thoughts, may think differently. So we do recommend that whatever cruise line you're going on, you check the prohibited item list before you pack your suitcase. Flammable items, of course. So candles, you're not allowed to bring candles. You cannot bring any irons, no clothes steamers, hot plates, coffee makers, microwaves, lighter fluids, gas torches, any kind of flammable paints, turpentine. Don't know why you would need turpentine on a vacation, but maybe you were going to do some artwork in your room. Don't know. Car batteries.
Well, that one might be interesting, because if you have a mobility scooter that runs on
True.
a big battery, people may have wanted to bring on a second one to keep one charged while the other one is working. But that's the only thing I can think of. But
For a car battery. Hoverboards, teacup immersion heaters, They don't want them. And then you get into your knives and your sharp objects, box cutters, ice picks, meat cleavers, razor blades. Other than a safety razor, you can have a straight blade and a safety razor for personal grooming, but anything that's out and out of the cartridge, no, that's a no-no. Scissors greater than 4 inches. Some exceptions are on some cruises, they run dive trips. So if you're a diver and you have a diving knife, and this is not all ships, certain ships will allow you to bring the diving knife on board, but you must check it either with customer service or with the chief security officer. And then that has to stay locked up. And then when you go on your excursion to dive, you sign it out. And then when you come back from your excursion, you would sign it back in. And then at the end of the cruise, you would pick up your dive knife.
And while we're on diving, let's talk about the tanks. If you're going to,
Right.
Some cruise lines let you bring tanks on empty, and other
Right.
ones say, hey, you're going to rent them when you get there. So you really have to check your cruise lines on what you're doing and what you need to do to just have a happy time. I mean, can you imagine
Right.
getting to the terminal with
Right.
a set of tanks and
Right, and being told that you can't take them on board, and there's no compensation if they confiscate anything. It is very clear in this policy, they will not compensate you for any items that they confiscate. Now, some items they will just confiscate and they will destroy and get rid of, and other items, if they confiscate them, they will keep them in a secure location till the end of your cruise, and then you can pick them up at the very end of the cruise. So just please review this and it'll make more sense to you. Also, if you are keeping on the topic of diving, if you're going to go on a dive, check the excursion. If you're doing an excursion through the cruise line, it should say within the details of that excursion whether or not all of the equipment is provided, if they're providing you with tanks or if they're not providing you with tanks.
And on diving, you can't bring a spear gun or anything
Yes.
like that on board. That's just no. They just
Yes.
won't let you.
No
do
bow
that.
and arrows, no crossbows, anything like that. Tools, specifically axes and hatchets, cattle prods. So don't bring your cattle prod, hammers, drills and drill bits, saws, and other tools, wrenches, pliers, screwdrivers greater than 7 inches. So if you need a small screwdriver, I guess, for something,
Your glasses,
things like that, they're not going to confiscate that because they're very tiny. Martial arts defense items. So nunchucks, throwing stars, nightsticks, stun guns, mace, pepper spray. Can't bring that. Bow and arrows, I mentioned that. Brass knuckles. Sporting goods. Some, and this varies with cruise lines also. Some cruise lines will allow you to bring it, but you have to keep the item in your room. You're not allowed to take it out into a public area. So if you're going on an excursion on one of the islands and you are bringing your sports equipment, soccer ball, basketball, baseball bats, hockey sticks, golf clubs, things like that, it's going to vary by cruise line. Some ban it completely. Most cruise lines do allow you to bring golf clubs, but you have to keep them in your room and you can only use them in port. Alcohol. So each cruise line will have their own alcohol policy. Any kind of hard liquor is banned. They do scan all luggage. So if you try and smuggle it in through your luggage, I know some people buy the bladders, things like that, to sneak it in. They will scan your luggage. If they find it in there, they'll confiscate it. They'll destroy it.
Yeah.
You're not getting it back and you're not getting compensated for it. Most cruise lines allow each passenger over the age of 21 to bring at least one bottle of wine or champagne on board of 750 mils or less. And it has to be unopened. It cannot be an open bottle. It has to be unopened. And then if you need to have it opened on board, they will charge a corkage fee. And some of the fees are pretty hefty. I have seen up to about $30. So
Get a twist top, right?
get a twist top. That would be our advice.
But there are different things. No pants required. This past week, he does funny bits. He cruises a lot and travels. He brought a Starlink on board Carnival, and he set it up on the pool deck, ran it, got great reception. Next day, within hours of him posting the video, got a knock on the door. They confiscated it, and they changed it so it literally says Starlink and no computer, no
internet devices. And a lot of the cruise lines, it doesn't state it on Royal Caribbean's cruise line or page, but on Carnival and on Norwegian, they specifically call out any kind of streaming devices. So don't bring your Fire Stick, your Roku, because they have disabled the ports in the TV that your Fire Stick won't work, your Roku won't work, so that you can't stream from the TV. So if you want to stream anything, you're going to have to download that to a laptop before you leave for your trip and have that available. Or if you have an iPad, download it onto your iPad. And then specifically, Carnival does have any kind of internet devices that will give you an internet connection. You cannot bring them on board. And that's an update to their policy.
And it was really surprising after I heard they had banned the satellite dish. I was wondering, I wonder if they're going to ban satellite phones. Guess what? They banned
satellite phones. Yes, are banned. And then also any kind of dangerous chemical items, chlorine, bleach, spray paint, tear gas, spillable batteries, other than wheelchair batteries. Wheelchair batteries are permitted. Fire extinguishers, you can't bring a fire extinguisher. Ham radios, and any kind of beacon detecting devices, that is banned on all cruise lines. We read over every one, and every single one has that. So a few things that we've read through our research with, what are some of the most common things that people do make the mistake of bringing a prohibited item on board? The majority of the items that the cruise ships see that would get you called down to the naughty room, which means you're not getting your luggage because they found something in the luggage that needs to be confiscated. And they're going to call you to the naughty room. They're going to verify that this particular item was in your suitcase. And then they're going to tell you that they're confiscating it. And depending on what the item is, you may or may not get it back at the end of the cruise. But the majority of people, it's an iron and a clothes steamer. Those are the top two. But we have seen pictures of the naughty table, coffee makers, a lot of tea kettles. So this may be coming from Great Britain. I know you guys love your tea. But remember, if you're coming over to the United States, don't bring your tea kettle with you. Unfortunately, cruises that leave out of the United States, usually, unless you're in a suite, will not have a tea kettle. So don't try and smuggle your own in.
And another one is heating blankets.
Yes.
Is a big thing as well.
Yes. Heating blankets, heating pads, things like that. They'll confiscate them. Inflatable mattresses. People have tried to get inflatable mattresses. I guess I don't know if they are trying to sneak other people into the room. Not quite sure why they have the inflatable mattress. Kiddie pools. People have tried to get kiddie pools on board. You can't bring them on board. some inflatable toys for water sports, they will allow you to bring, but you're not allowed to use them on board in the pool. You can take them off on the islands if you're going to the beach and use them on the beach, but you can't use them in the pool.
And also Heelys and anything with wheels.
Right.
You can bring them on board. I think they confiscate them, but you can't use them on board, but you can use them on the port. The same way different cruise ships with the drones.
Right.
Some say, no, 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 you can't bring it on board at all. Other ones say, hey, it's going to go to security. We'll keep it. And then when you're off the ship, the port, you're there. But there was a person in Italy who had set up this elaborate, he was on a cruise ship. He set up this elaborate thing where he was going to ask his girlfriend to marry him on the steps, threw a drone up. Police came, arrested them both, put them in jail, missed their ship because they didn't check out what you can and cannot do with drones. So you just can't do the ships. You also have to do the country that you're in.
True, right? Because drones are banned in some countries. So yeah, always do that research, because you don't want to buy something thinking that you can bring it on the cruise and then come to find out you can't have it on the cruise ship, and they want to either confiscate it and destroy it, or you get it at the end of your cruise and you weren't able to use the item. So just do your research ahead of time. So whatever cruise line you're cruising on, do that research ahead of time. And every cruise line will have a PDF form so that you can print it out and have it to just double check and make sure. This way you don't have to keep going onto the website. Couple other interesting items: microwaves. People have tried to bring microwaves on board. A portable washing machine. So we read recently that there was a mother and daughter. They were going on a Carnival cruise. They purchased a portable washing machine to have in their cabin so that they could wash their clothes during the cruise, and it got confiscated. So a lot of cruise ships will have laundry facilities. Not all cruise ships have laundry facilities. The ones that do, you can utilize them. And some of those laundry facilities will have irons and ironing boards, so you can iron there. Otherwise, if your cruise ship, or your cruise line, I should say, does not offer laundry facilities, they will also offer laundry services for a nominal fee. So, and a lot of times they'll run a special. So if there is anything that you need ironed or pressed off before, a formal night or a big dinner, just send it down and they will get it back to you, usually within 1 day turnaround.
Well, our hack on that is just hang it in the bathroom when you're taking a shower. And if we're both taking showers, by the time it's done, most of the wrinkles are gone. You have that spray as well, correct?
Yes, the Downy Wrinkle Release works wonders. And what I find is, if you iron everything before you leave and you use packing cubes and you roll your clothes or pack them the proper way with tissue paper and or dry cleaning plastic separating, that'll keep the wrinkles down. And then when you get to your destination, make sure you unpack everything right away to loosen them up. A lot of those small wrinkles will come out. And then just stick everything into the bathroom before, the first shower, and let it run through however many people are taking a shower before dinner. And usually most of the wrinkles come out, and you spray it with the Downy Wrinkle Release. So that's our hack, and it works very well.
But I'm going to leave a link below on all 4 of these websites, so that if you want to just check out your cruise line, we have Virgin, Royal and Virgin are exactly the same. NCL and MSC. MSC really doesn't have a lot. They don't go into specific details. They just say firearms and anything that's flammable. They're very vague, but then again, it works in their favor because they can say, hey, it's on or prohibited.
Correct. Being very vague, they can determine based on the item they find, whether or not they feel it fits within something that's flammable, or is it a firearm or a replica, things like that. So they leave it a little open ended, and I think that allows them for interpretation on a case by case basis. So please like and subscribe. We're a young channel, we're trying to grow. We hope we're bringing you very informative videos. Hopefully this helps you understand prohibited items that you cannot bring on a cruise ship. And if we left anything out, because we did not go over the entire list completely, but if we left anything out, please leave it in the comments so that everybody can see. And hopefully this helps you for packing for your next cruise.
Cat and Mike, the ship set sail on a journey that'll never fail. With the wind in their hair and the sun shining bright, they're dancing on the waves, it feels just right. Sailing together.